3. Fiber to fabric. In class 6, you have learned about some fibers obtained from plants. You also learned that wool and silk fibers are obtained from animals. Wool is obtained from the fleece, hair, of sheep or yak. Silk fibers come from cocoons of the silk moth. Do you know which part of the sheep's body yields fibers? Are you aware how these fibers are converted into the woolen yarn that we buy from the market to knit sweaters? Do you have any idea how silk fibers are made into silk, which is woven into saris? In this chapter, we shall try to find answers to these questions. Animal fibers, wool and silk. 3.1 Wool. Wool comes from sheep, goat, yak, and some other animals. These wool yielding animals bear hair on their body. Do you know why these animals have a thick coat of hair? Hair trap a lot of air. Air is a poor conductor of heat. As you would learn in chapter 4, so hair keeps these animals warm. Wool is derived from these hairy fibers. Activity 3.1. Do this. Feel the hair on your body and arms and those on your head. Do you find any difference? Which one seems coarse and which one is soft? Like us, the hair skin of the sheep has two types of fibers that form its fleece. 1. The coarse beard hair, and 2. The fine soft under hair close to the skin. The fine hair provides the fibers for making wool. Some breeds of sheep possess only fine underhair. Their parents are specially chosen to give birth to sheep which have only soft underhair. This process of selecting parents for obtaining special characters in their offspring, such as soft underhair in sheep, is termed selective breeding. Figure: sheep with thick growth of hair. Animals that yield wool. Several breeds of sheep are found in different parts of our country. However, the fleece of sheep is not the only source of wool, though wool commonly available in the market is sheep wool. Figure: yak. Figure: wool is common in Tibet and Ladakh. Mohair is obtained from Angora goats. Figure: found in hilly regions such as Jammu and Kashmir. Wool is also obtained from goat hair. Figure: the under fur of Kashmiri goat is soft. It is woven into fine shawls called pashmina shawls. The fur, hair, on the body of camels is also used as wool. Figure: llama and alpaca, found in South America, also yield wool. Figure: and Activity 3.2. Do this. Collect pictures of animals whose hair is used as wool. Stick them in your scrapbook. If you are unable to get pictures, try and draw them from the ones given in this book. Find out words for sheep, goat, camel, and yak in your local language and also in other languages of our country. Yak, llama. Activity 3.3. Do this. Procure outline maps of India and the world. Find out and mark the places on the map where you find animals that provide wool. Use different colors to denote the location for different wool yielding animals. Figure Angora goat. Figure goat. Figure camel. Figure alpaca. From fibers to wool. For obtaining wool, sheep are reared. Their hair is cut and processed into wool. Let us learn about this process. Rearing and breeding of sheep. If you travel to the hills in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, or the plains of Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat, you can see shepherds taking their herds of sheep for grazing. Sheep are herbivores and prefer grass and leaves. Apart from grazing sheep, rearers also feed them on a mixture of pulses, corn, jowar, oil cakes, material left after taking out oil from seeds, and minerals. In winter, sheep are kept indoors and fed on leaves, grains, and dry fodder. Sheep are reared in many parts of our country for wool. Table gives the names of some breeds of sheep reared in our country for producing wool. The quality and texture of the fibers obtained from them is also indicated in the table. Certain breeds of sheep have thick coat of hair on their body which yields good quality wool in large quantities. As mentioned earlier, these sheep are selectively bred, with one parent being a sheep of good breed. Once the reared sheep have developed a thick growth of hair, hair is shaved off for getting wool. Processing fibers into wool. The wool, which is used for knitting sweaters or for weaving shawls, is the finished product of a long process which involves the following steps. Step 1. The fleece of the sheep along with a thin layer of skin is removed from its body. Figure A. This process is called shearing. Machines similar to those used by barbers are used to shave off hair. Usually, hair are removed during the hot weather. This enables sheep to survive without their protective coat of hair. The hair provides woolen fibers. Woolen fibers are then processed to obtain woolen yarn. Shearing does not hurt the sheep just as it does not hurt when you get a haircut or your father shaves his beard. Do you know why? The uppermost layer of the skin is dead. Also, the hair of sheep grow again just as your hair does. Table: some Indian breeds of sheep. Serial number, name of breed, quality of wool, state where found. 1. Lohi, good quality wool, Rajasthan, Punjab. 2. Rampur Bushire, brown fleece, Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh. 3. Nali, carpet wool, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab. 4. Bhakrawal, for woolen shawls, Jammu and Kashmir. 5. Marwari, coarse wool, Gujarat. 6. Patanwadi, for Hoshiari, Gujarat. Step 2. The sheared skin with hair is thoroughly washed in tanks to remove grease, dust and dirt. This is called scouring. Nowadays, scouring is done by machines, figure B and C. Step 2. After scouring, sorting is done. The hair skin is sent to a factory where hair of different textures are separated or sorted. Step 4. The small fluffy fibers called burrs are picked out from the hair. These are the same burrs which sometimes appear on your sweaters. The fibers are scoured again and dried. This is the wool ready to be drawn into fibers. Step 5. The fibers can be dyed in various colors as the natural fleece of sheep and goats is black, brown or white. Step 6. The fibers are straightened, combed and rolled into yarn. Figure D. The longer fibers are made into wool for sweaters and the shorter fibers are spun and woven into woolen cloth. Figure A. Shearing a sheep. Figure B. Scouring in tanks. Figure C. Scouring by machines. Figure D. Rolling into yarns. The processing of fibers into wool can be represented as follows: shearing, to scouring, to sorting, to cleaning of bars, to dyeing, to rolling. Occupational hazard. Wool industry is an important means of livelihood for many people in our country. But sorters' job is risky as sometimes they get infected by a bacterium, anthrax, which causes a fatal blood disease called sorter's disease. Such risks faced by workers in any industry are called occupational hazards. Bozo is wondering why it hurts when someone pulls his hair but not when he goes for a haircut. Bozo is wondering why a cotton garment cannot keep us as warm in winter as a woolen sweater does. Activity 3.4. Do this. Debate amongst your classmates whether it is fair on the part of humans to rear sheep and then chop off their hair for getting wool. 3.2. Silk. Silk fibers are also animal fibers. Silkworms spin the silk fibers. The rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk is called sericulture. Find out from your mother or aunt or grandmother the kind of silk sarees they have. List the kinds of silk. Before we discuss the process of obtaining silk, it is necessary to know the interesting life history of the silk moth. Life history of silk moth. The female silk moth lays eggs, from which hatch larvae which are called caterpillars or silkworms. They grow in size, and when the caterpillar is ready to enter the next stage of its life history called pupa, it first waves a net to hold itself. Then it swings its head from side to side in the form of the figure of 8. 8. During these movements of the head, the caterpillar secretes fiber made of A male, B female, adult silk moths. C eggs on mulberry leaves. D silkworm. E cocoon. F cocoon with developing moth. Figure A to F. Life history of silk moth. Protein which hardens on exposure to air and becomes silk fiber. Soon the caterpillar completely covers itself by silk fibers and turns into pupa. This covering is known as cocoon. The further development of the pupa into moth continues inside the cocoon. Figure. Silk fibers are used for weaving silk cloth. Can you imagine that the soft silk yarn is as strong as a comparable thread of steel? The silk yarn thread is obtained from the cocoon of the silk moth. There is a variety of silk moths which look very different from one another, and the silk yarn they yield is different in texture, coarse, smooth, shiny, etc. Thus, Tussore silk, Moga silk, Kosa silk, etc. are obtained from cocoons spun by different types of moths. The most common silk moth is the mulberry silk moth. The silk fiber from the cocoon of this moth is soft, lustrous, and elastic and can be dyed in beautiful colors. Sericulture or culture of silkworms is a very old occupation in India. India produces plenty of silk on a commercial scale. Activity 3.5. Do this. Collect pieces of silk cloth of various type and paste them in your scrapbook. You can find them in a tailor's shop among the heap of waistcoat pieces. Take help of your mother, aunt or teacher and identify the types of silk such as mulberry silk, tussar silk, eri silk, moga silk, etc. Compare the texture of this silk with that of the artificial silk pieces, which contain synthetic fibers. Try and collect pictures of different moths whose caterpillars provide the various type of silk. Activity 3.6. Do this. Take an artificial synthetic silk thread and a pure silk thread. Burn these threads carefully. Did you notice any difference in the smell while burning? Now burn a woolen fiber carefully. Did it smell like burning of artificial silk or that of pure silk? Can you explain why? To remember when the cocoon stage is reached in the life history of the silk moth, try the following activity. Activity 3.7. Do this. Photocopy figure cut out pictures of the stages of the life history of the silk moth and paste them on pieces of cardboard or chart paper. Jumble them. Now try and arrange the stages in the correct sequence in a cyclic form. Whoever does it fastest wins. You may also describe the life history in your own words. Write it down in your scrapbook. In India, women are significantly involved in various kinds of industries related to silk production. These are rearing of silkworms, reeling of silk from cocoons and processing of raw silk into fabrics. By their enterprise, they contribute to the nation's economy. China leads the world in silk production. India also ranks among the leading silk producing countries. From cocoon to silk. For obtaining silk, moths are reared and their cocoon are collected to get silk thread. Rearing silkworms. A female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs at a time, figure A. The eggs are stored carefully on strips of cloth or paper and sold to silkworm farmers. The farmers keep eggs under hygienic conditions and under suitable conditions of temperature and humidity. The eggs are warmed to a suitable temperature for the larva to hatch from eggs. This is done when mulberry trees, figure B, bear a fresh crop of leaves. The larvae, called caterpillars or silkworms, eat day and night and increase enormously in size, figure C. A. Female silkworm, moth with eggs. B. Mulberry tree, leaf of mulberry. C. Larva, caterpillar or silkworm feeding on mulberry leaves. D. Cocoons. Figure rearing silkworms. Discovery of silk. The exact time of discovery of silk is perhaps unknown. According to an old Chinese legend, the Empress Shi Lung-chi was asked by the Emperor Wang Ti to find the cause of the damaged leaves of mulberry trees growing in their garden. The Empress found white worms eating up mulberry leaves. She also noticed that they were spinning shiny cocoons around them. Accidentally, a cocoon dropped into her cup of tea and a tangle of delicate thread separated from the cocoon. Silk industry began in China and was kept a closely guarded secret for hundreds of years. Later on, traders and travelers introduced silk to other countries. The route they traveled is still called the Silk Route. The larvae are kept in clean bamboo trays along with freshly chopped mulberry leaves. After 25 to 30 days, the caterpillars stop eating and move to a tiny chamber of bamboo in the tray to spin cocoons. Figure D. Small racks or twigs may be provided in the trays to which cocoons get attached. The caterpillar or silkworm spins the cocoon inside which develops the silk moth. Processing silk. The pile of cocoons is used for obtaining silk fibers. The cocoons are kept under the sun or boiled or exposed to steam. The silk fibers. Paheli wants to know if the cotton thread and silk thread are spun and woven in the same manner. Separate out. The process of taking out threads from the cocoon for use as silk is called reeling the silk. Reeling is done in special machines which unwind the threads or fibers of silk from the cocoons. Silk fibers are then spun into silk threads which are woven into silk cloth by weavers. Keywords: cocoon, fleece, reeling, scouring, sericulture, shearing, silk moth, silkworm, shorting. What you have learnt? Silk comes from silkworms and wool is obtained from sheep, goat and yak. Hence, silk and wool are animal fibers. The hairs of camel, llama and alpaca are also processed to yield wool. In India, mostly sheep are reared for getting wool. Sheep hair is sheared off from the body, scoured, shorted, dried, dyed, spun, and woven to yield wool. Silkworms are caterpillars of silk moth. During their life cycle, the worms spin cocoons of silk fibers. Silk fibers are made of a protein. Silk fibers from cocoons are separated out and reeled into silk threads. Weavers weave silk threads into silk cloth. Exercises: do this and comment this. Extended learning activities and projects. 1. Paheli wants to know the maximum length of continuous silk thread that can be obtained from a cocoon. Find out for her. 2. Bojo wants to know why caterpillars need to shed their skin when they grow bigger but we humans do not. Do you have any idea? 3. Bojo wants to know why caterpillars should not be collected with bare hands. Can you help him? Do this and comment this. 7. Look for eggs of any moth or butterfly in your garden or park or any other place full of plants. They look like tiny specks, dots laid in a cluster on the leaves. Pull out the leaves containing eggs and place them in a cardboard box. Take some leaves of the same plants or another plant of the same variety. Chop them and put them in the box. Eggs will hatch into caterpillars which are busy eating day and night and lives every day for them to feed upon. Sometimes you may be able to collect the caterpillars, but be careful. Use a paper napkin or a paper to hold a caterpillar. Observe every day. Note the 1. Number of days taken for eggs to hatch. 2. Number of days taken to reach the cocoon stage. And 3. Number of days to complete the life cycle. Record your observation in your notebook. 6. When handloom and textile exhibition are held, certain stalls display real moths of various varieties of silk and their life histories. Try and visit this stall with elders or teachers and share these moths and stages of their life history. 5. Someone told Paheli that an animal called vicuna also gives wool. Can you tell her where this animal is found? Look for this in a dictionary or any encyclopedia. 4. Paheli wanted to buy a silk frock and went to the market with her mother. There they found that the artificial synthetic silk was much cheaper and wanted to know why. Do you know why? Find out. Do this and comment this. Did you know? In terms of the number of sheep, India ranks third in the world, behind China and Australia. However, the New Zealand sheep are known to yield the best wool.